time for another Elsie's Little Pickles, the pickle pod for the people, bringing you all the pickle power that we possibly can in these trying times. And with that, there is a bit of good news this week. Well, let's say for the last, 12 weeks?
Longer than that. Probably more like for the past year.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could say that. I'm just talking about the actual games won by the Detroit Lions.
Well, they are currently 12-1.
Right.
For the first time in, I think, since the 30s or something.
Well, first off, let's back up. I am not a football fan. I don't watch really any sports at all. You, however, are an incredible sports fan, but specifically football. And I wanted to give a little bit of
football and hockey. Those are my fortes.
Football and hockey. I can get down with hockey, but football, it's like every time I watch a game, I'm afraid to watch a game because every time I do, they lose. So like whenever things get going good for the Lions, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to sit down and watch a game, then they lose. So I'm like, I'm not watching.
You never miss a game. You never watch it, so you never miss it.
Yeah. So I'm not watching, and I'll be honest with you, I'll probably, if they go to the Super Bowl, I'll probably record it and just wait to hear what the results are before I watch it. Because even at that, I'm so superstitious when it comes to the Lions at this point. It's like, literally, every time I watch.
I'm not going to lie, I am not a superstitious guy, but with sports, I do get superstitious.
Which is exactly the reason why you don't want me watching.
Last year with the Wolverines and their undefeated streak going into the playoffs and then the championship winning, I did end up watching the championship game. I just couldn't resist. But everything else, I did not watch firsthand because the first game I couldn't watch. I had to listen to it on the radio because I was driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, cool, they won. The second game, I couldn't watch again, so I had to listen on the radio, and they won. So then I was like, oh, God, if I watch them, what if they lose?
Yeah, I know. You do feel like there's a lot of responsibility on you as a spectator, as a fan, that you might be fucking it up for everyone.
Depends on this idiot in another state.
This fucking moron. You know, like now with social media, they're going to find you, dox you, and fucking take you out. So anyways, I thought this would be a good opportunity because 12-1, right? And now we're going up against the Bills, correct?
Yes, is that the Buffalo Bills.
When is that?
Josh Allen and the Bills.
Is that going to be Sunday?
Sunday, well, my time, 3:25.
All right, so 4:25 on the East Coast.
4:20, 4:25, something like that.
I am not going to watch the game, but
yeah, you do that, mister.
I know, because again, it's one of those things. And by the time this actually gets posted, the game will have happened because this will actually go up on most likely either Monday or Tuesday. It will be posted. Mm-hmm. So the game will have passed. Well, what's your predictions?
For the Lions game, I am predicting 34-31.
Okay. So you're going with a 3-point spread, which is what is, from my understanding, predicted.
Yes. Tempted to actually lower the Bills scoring because we are getting some players back from injury.
And they lost somebody, didn't they?
Early in the season, they did lose Aiden Hutchinson, star defensive back, lineman, whatever you want to call him. I don't know the exact position name. I'm just going to call him the Smasher. He is the defensive smasher for the Lions. They lost him in the game against the Dallas Cowboys, broke his tibia and fibula. Ironically, on one of our own players' legs. What's that?
Because he was smashing.
Yeah, because he was smashing. But this year's career for him, his sack totals was the highest in the NFL and continued to lead the NFL, even though he was injured until week 9, I think.
Oh, really? It went that long?
Yes.
He was leading and he wasn't even playing.
Yes.
Holy shit.
And so some good news on that front for anybody who cares. Yes, he broke his tibula and fibula. He's only 23 or 24 years old.
So he still bounces.
Yes. And so much so that he is not only walking, but jogging right now.
Wow.
They expected him, if at the soonest possible, to come back for the Super Bowl. But now they're talking 2-3 weeks before that.
Really? Well, that's good news. Didn't the Bills just lose somebody too, though?
Yes, they actually did. Let me go look at that name.
I caught you off guard.
How dare you?
Well.
Apparently they lost Douglas. I'm looking to see what exactly Mr. Douglas plays for the Bills.
Well, I guess the question is do you see between now and the Super Bowl? I'm very, and mind you, again, I'm not somebody that follows, okay, but I definitively see based on what I do see, because I do watch, like, obviously YouTube clips or whatever of commentators, because this is such an exciting time for Detroit. So I've been watching those, right? And it seems like the vast majority of the commentators, the talking heads, are like, well, Detroit's going to the Super Bowl. There's no two ways about it. And most of them think that Detroit will win.
Unanimously saying that, yes, the Kansas City Chiefs are the Super Bowl champion. They're looking to three-peat, if you will, because they've won it the last 2 years.
Oh, I'd love for the Lions to come through and just strip them of that opportunity.
Well, the interesting thing is we have played them twice. Last year, we played them in the first game of the season, and it was their banner raising for their championship, and we kicked their ass. We ruined their banner raising night. We beat them in game one. Something that nobody saw coming.
No.
And then in the preseason, this year, they did play their starters. We played our third and fourth string. And again, we beat them. But that was preseason.
Okay.
But it was just humorous to me because they were playing their starters. We had our backups. Our quarterback didn't play in the preseason at all. Something that a lot of people didn't notice. But Jared Goff played his first football down in game one, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I call him Mr. Perfect because Jared Goff is one of, I think, 4 quarterbacks in NFL history to have a perfect game, and he did that this year. Almost did it a second time, which is
unheard of. Yeah, that's unheard of. You don't have to be a sports fan or a football fan to know that that's fucking amazing. It doesn't happen.
I do believe 6 quarters of a game. Well, 4 quarters are in a game. So he went 6 quarters without throwing in an incompletion.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. His quarterback rating is the best in the NFL right now.
Now, how did
Dude's on fire.
I mean, granted, we've got a great coach, but how did we get here? Like, because last year they were really great as well. And we thought we had a shot.
Yeah, they got to the NFC game. We're just kicking the 49ers ass up and down the field in the first half, then fell off the rails in the second.
Yeah, it went to shit. I watched that game. That's why I haven't watched a game since then. I did. I watched that game. And I'm like, this is why I don't watch football.
I can just picture you storming around. God damn it. This is why I didn't watch.
Yeah,
I'll never listen to Keith again.
Exactly. Because you were the one that told me I had to watch that fucking game. You were like, you got to watch this fucking game. It's going to be great. And I did. And
this year, the Niners are not doing so well, thankfully. They just lost last night to the Rams.
How the Rams doing? They're not that great, are they? They're like
right
a mid.
middle.
I was going to say, they're like a mid-level.
Yeah. They've taken another step backward. Sorry to everybody out there if you're hearing my dog growl. My little dog is
I can't hear
unhappy.
Yeah, I can't hear it.
He likes to just sit staring at a wall growling. I can't explain it. That's literally what he's doing.
Sounds like my
He's
childhood.
looking at the fridge, growling.
It sounds like my childhood.
But back to the Lions. They've got some guys coming back from injury. They're going to keep getting some guys back from injury because their defense has been banged up the last 4 weeks, but they keep winning.
Yeah, well, they keep going in hard. I'm surprised they don't have more injuries based on the fact that they like literally leave it all on the field.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen a replay that I was like, I didn't go, oh, God damn, that had hurt.
Now, the interesting part, I remind people that we do have Zadarius Smith now filling the role of Aiden Hutchinson. When the playoffs do come around, we're going to have a bye, most likely for the first round of the playoffs. We won't play because we're
far
number
ahead.
one.
Yeah.
Which I want that to happen just because I want them to rest. But with Aiden coming back, the games that will be played by Aaron Glenn, on our defensive coordinator, it's going to be fun to watch.
See, that's it. I mean, like
guys like Zadarius Smith, Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil.
See, I'm just educated in it enough to know like what you're talking about. I'm just barely there, right? As far as like the players, just barely.
If Smith and Hutchinson are on the field together, which they will be, they'll usually probably seesaw in and out, but there will be some special plays like third down that you'll probably see them both out there.
Yeah, because they always seem to they always seem to go for it.
Well, I'm talking on defense.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. On defense with Hutch and Smith, Z as he's called, you're going to see quarterbacks scramble for their fucking lives.
Dude, what was the last?
There's no ifs or ands or buts about it. They're going to be scrambling.
I think it was from the last game. I saw a clip, and they were just swarming the fucking quarterback. Was that last game or is it?
It's every game. Literally every game.
I know they're like I don't know how they're breaking through, but they're breaking through every fucking time.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just fun to watch. We have the best safety duo in the NFL. I don't care who you are. You can't contest that between Branch and Joseph. Branch is a football, or rather Joseph is a football hound. I think he leads the NFL in interceptions. So that does not make it easy for quarterbacks to pass between him and Branch out on the field.
Yeah.
You've got the best running back duo in the game with Knuckles and Sonic, Montgomery and Gibbs. That's their nicknames.
Now, let me ask you, do you think that it's their passing game or their running game that's really
a star or on point? Just both.
That's what I've been hearing.
With football, to have an effective running game, you have to have a good passing game, so it opens up the run. You also need a good running game to open up opportunities to pass. But the Lions are just that damn balanced.
Yeah, but that's that's my point. You don't see that a lot. You don't really.
They were passing to linemen. They had linemen lined up as receivers because they could. It's like literally, I feel bad for some teams because it is an insult. They pissed people off doing that because who's going to stop them?
Yeah, but our head coach, what is it, Dan?
Yeah, Dan Campbell.
Campbell, thank you. Okay.
It'll be confusing for you because there's Dan Campbell, the coach, and then Campbell, who's a player in the field, a young guy.
No, it's not that. I keep for some reason wanting to call Campbell Miller. I don't know why.
There's a Dan Miller who's their announcer.
He's the reason why.
Play-by-play guy.
That's the reson why.
Miller.
Yeah, for some reason I always want to mix those names up. Anyways, that was Keith with sports.
Keith, what sports?
Back to you, Keith, with the news.
Rand Paul threatens to be a thorn in Trump's agenda.
Never liked Rand Paul, but now suddenly I'm thinking I might want to give him a second chance.
Yeah, I kind of want to hug him.
I wonder what I wonder why he's like
Well, I'm perusing it, but it just says that he's signaling that he's going to be a thorn in the president-elect's Trump side, this time on his border and deportation plans.
I think Rand Paul just likes being a thorn in whoever is in power side.
Yeah, I get that feeling.
I think he's always looking for that power play. You know what I mean? Like he wants to be, I'm going to sit here with my arms folded saying, no, I'm not going to vote for that until he gets something that he wants out of it. I honestly do. I think he's just a little Brillo head fucker. Annoys me, but
in the story that I'm reading, he says, I'm not a big fan of what the Republicans are saying. They're going to spend $100 billion on the border, another $200 billion on military to bust the military caps. I think it's a terrible way to start, and they're planning on taking 129 million or billion million away from veteran aid.
Well, here's the thing that's interesting is he's not the only one who's putting up resistance. And I just read this article where apparently Elon Musk has made it clear regarding cabinet decisions that if you're a Republican that doesn't just roll over and show your belly to Trump and give in to every cabinet decision that he wants to make, that he's going to fund primary challenges against that Republican.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's the problem with that. The Constitution states that they're supposed to do this. This is part of the process, right? It's not, oh, you're the president now or president-elect, and we're just going to give you whoever you want. That's actually written into the fucking Constitution. You have to have congressional approval, and it's meant to be kind of a check and balance. And what Elon's pushing for is, long live the king.
Yes.
And I'm struggling more and more with my opinions on Elon, because that just puts us in a position of, okay, you got your king. What are you, an oligarch? Because that would seem pretty much what he is at this point.
How many times have you seen Elon meeting with foreign dignitaries? Quite often.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that makes him an oligarch.
Not just that. I mean, you could understand it from a business point of view, like meeting with foreign dignitaries.
For his own business, yes. However, he's discussing...
He's doing it on behalf of Trump.
Yes. And that presents a giant problem.
Yeah, I don't see how they're going to let this sit. I mean, it's going to be one of two things. Either between Elon, his wealth, and his relationship with Trump, he ends up getting everything that he wants, or damn near everything he wants, specifically when it comes to regulations in his businesses or lawsuits that are going on with his businesses being pushed out of court. And all of that may be true or whatever. I mean, but this motherfucker is, I guess, trying to get the state of Texas to allow him to create a city around SpaceX. Like he wants to create a city. Now, in and of itself, that doesn't sound so bad. But when you couple that with all this other shit that he's got his fingers into politically, this
he's going to save $2 billion in government with his department and probably spend it on his little Lego city.
Lego city.
He's gonna strut around the city with a little ribbon across his chest as mayor.
You know that he's involved in developing like these essentially pop-up houses, right?
Yeah.
So I could see that, like these tiny homes. I think that's really the reason he wants to do it, and I think he wants to do it so that he can have everyone that works for SpaceX, being forced to live in that community, that little city. I think that's ultimately what he's trying to do is create a situation not unlike, kind of the company store. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you're not getting paid, but you have credit and you can spend that credit at the company store.
He released an X yesterday, and his own little diatribe, his op-ed, if you will, of how encouraging at-home workers promotes laziness in the workforce. I responded to him directly, publicly, saying, I wonder where you typed this.
Well, look, I don't doubt that he puts more time working in than probably the vast majority of people. Okay. However, that's your choice. That's your choice. And just because that works for you, and because you have the resources to have 15 nannies and, however many ex-wives and, you can do whatever you want financially, that does not necessarily mean that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, he is 75 children? Is it now?
Something like that.
I don't know.
102 maybe at this point.
Could be.
I don't know. It's hard to tell because I know that
I'm curious as to how many of them he continues to ignore.
I know that his value or his net worth went up like $100 million in the time from the election to today. So he's $100 million richer, or billion maybe. I don't even know. I think he's at 400 billion. So yeah, it would be 100 billion.
At that point, does it really matter?
But that's the thing. It does matter, man. If you got one person that's got 400 billion and is directing the president-elect, as it seems he is, and threatening congressional resistance, as he clearly is. I mean, this is becoming a circumstance of brother gotten too big for his britches.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Like
he's an oligarch.
This isn't cute anymore. This isn't like Tony Stark cute. This is, what the fuck are you doing?
Hey, he's more like Hammer rather than Tony Stark.
Yeah, I would agree.
Doing his little dance on stage.
Jumping and enjoying. Yeah. Like, I've really soured on him a lot in the last few months. Yep. I've always tried to be positive because of some of the things that he's doing that I think are positive. I feel SpaceX is positive. I think the Boring Company is positive. I think, Tesla is positive. I think, like all these things that are truly, truly positive ventures. Mm-hmm. And even some of the stuff that he stepped away from. I mean, obviously he was instrumental in helping get ChatGPT up and running, right? However, that went sideways because of the business relationship and then the reorganization of the business from being basically not a nonprofit. He now wants
people to upload their medical files to his
I saw
AI
that
program.
Yeah, no fucking way. No fucking way. What kind of idiot would you have to be? But there's a lot of idiots.
There's no shortage of idiots on that side.
Well, that's my point, though. That's exactly where I was going to go with this. I just heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently there was a survey taken that said that 54% of Americans think that Trump's going to do a good job in his second term here. Well, how are you coming to that? What? Again, I'm sorry. I'm a January 20th to January 20th is how I make my decision on a president. How, based on those numbers?
I would love to know what appointee they feel is really, really good in that position.
I just don't get any of it, man. Honestly, I don't. How does 54% of America think he's going to do a good job? How is that even possible? He doesn't understand tariffs. He's using it as a scare tactic, which, I mean, great negotiation if that's what it is. I don't have a problem with him saying crazy shit. I don't.
Well,
if he's using it as a starting point, as long as he's using it as a starting point for the negotiation and he comes to a reasonable position. My problem is I don't think that he necessarily fully understands the threat that he's leveling. And secondly, I don't know that he's smart enough to know what a reasonable position is when it comes to those things. And I honestly think that at the end of the day, the only things that he's going to worry about, I don't think he's really going to worry about the economy. I think he's going to worry about the appearance of the economy. I don't think he's going to worry about even immigration, but I think that he's going to worry about the appearance of it. I think everything that he wants to do, he wants to make television ready. And I think that that's the only thing that he's thinking about is how do I make not only the people who are in my cabinet, Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK. These are all TV ready people, right? Even Kash Patel is much more TV ready than a lot of people that have been in cabinet positions in the past.
Is he really though?
His eyes are too close together. That's the only problem. Yeah, he always looks like he just sat on something. But
Kash Patel is a complete farcical joke.
He's a tool
in any position.
I totally agree with you on that. I have no disagreement with you on that.
With the tariffs, there's also, again, a new wrinkle in this problem, which is Canada and the proposed 25% tariff Trump is suggesting to put on Canada.
When we get like 60, we do like 60% energy. I mean, granted.
Well, that's where I'm going with this.
Oh, okay.
Is that the premier of Ontario, which is the largest province in Canada, closest really to the United States, our area, but Doug Ford.
Oh, I heard he suggested. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, I heard Doug Ford was pissed off.
Yeah. His words exactly is, we're willing to go to the extent of cutting off their energy, going down to Michigan, New York, and over to Wisconsin. I don't want this to happen, but my number one job is to protect Ontarians and Canadians as a whole. And we have to be ready to fight, and this fight is coming 100% on January 21st.
So, is it Doug Ford?
Yeah, what did I say?
No, I just wanted to make sure. Wasn't it his brother who was also, but he was the party animal? I think he died. I'm not sure if his brother died. I can't think of the guy's name, but he went off the fucking rails and was doing like crack and like he fucking went off.
Yes.
What's his name?
Let me look it up now.
Yeah, he's a party.
GTS that. Google that shit.
He's a party dude, though. He was. I think he died, though.
Rob Ford.
Rob Ford, that's right.
Yeah, Rob Ford was the party animal. Looks like Doug was a little more responsible, but Rob Ford was crazy.
Yeah, he was like cocaine, crack. You know, you're doing crack. I think he did heroin. Like he did everything.
Yeah.
And apparently, did he die? Because I don't want to speak badly of him.
Let me look that up. Before him, yeah, Rob Ford was in the position. Yeah, he died in 2016.
That's a damn shame. That guy was a fucking that's the guy that you wanted at your party up until about midnight. And then you wanted him to go to the after party. You wanted to tell him that there was an after party.
Dennehy.
Yes.
In Tommy Boy.
Yes. All right. Any more news stories?
Yes, I do. Let me get back to my list. Don't get on my list. NATO fighters are scrambled as Putin launches major attack.
Okay.
What this means is NATO fighters have been scrambled in Poland along the alliance's eastern flank as Putin used strategic bombers and warplanes to unleash terror on Ukraine.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, on the last podcast, you had a story where you were talking about Belarus was accepting and storing nuclear weapons for Putin. All right, so here's my big concern. My big concern is between now and January 20th, what happens? How do things escalate? And I'm not saying it from the point of view of an intentional escalation, because I don't think Putin really wants to intentionally escalate. I think he wants to hurt Ukraine and Zelensky as much as possible until Trump's in office. And then I think he wants Trump to come in, say, all right, Zelensky, you're not getting any more help from the United States. You can give him this amount of land or you're on your own. And I think that that's going to end up being a forced land grab that's pushed by Trump. That's my opinion. Okay.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Trump's going to screw over the Ukraine. I believe that my honest gut feeling is that Putin is not going to stop there. I think there's other land that he wants.
Was it the Black Sea right there? He wants all of that area
Yes.
on both sides of the land.
The Baltic nations.
Oh, he's definitely going to try to do that.
Yeah. And that's when I think the shit will hit the fan, because NATO is not going to let that happen.
With or without Trump. Yeah.
Yeah, with or without. And yes, the United States is the darling of NATO, but they're not the muscle. And
we
as
tend
much as
to let
Americans
them
want to think that NATO revolves around them, they're the annoying brat child right now of NATO.
Well, I think what ends up transpiring is at some point, because Trump was going to pull us out of NATO before.
Yes.
So I don't see any reason why he wouldn't do that again or threaten to do that again. And he doesn't understand that that's to the detriment of the United States. Like I don't think he understands. He thinks we're just, king cockswinger, and we can go against anyone, anywhere, anytime. And that, to a degree, is true, providing you're willing to use nuclear.
I have thoughts on that happening if the United States drops out of NATO, which would be a horrible mistake, because that's all Trump does. I do foresee a new member of NATO taking that space, much to the chagrin of North America.
And that would be China?
Correct.
I think you're right. I think that they would use it, not necessarily because they want to be a part of it, or that they necessarily want...
They want to be important.
They want to be important. Exactly.
Yeah.
They want to be the power player. And they're setting up, even right now, they're setting it up to where we can't get certain minerals. They're setting it up to where, because of the tariffs and that, they're like, okay, they went into Africa. They bought up a bunch of mines. They bought up a bunch of property. They've done this all over the world, but specifically in Africa. And they're just going to shut down. They're going to shut down all the minerals we need in order to make anything.
They're out USAing the USA.
Right. And they're doing it on the sly.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive, if you ask me,
yeah.
But you got to remember too, we've had 8 and now we're going into 12 years of kind of doddering fools.
Yes. And Xi Jinping is not a moron. I think he has slowly transitioned from dangerous, wacky leader to, wait a minute, if we could get the U.S. out of things, we could take over and truly be the world power.
I think he's more, I think he's changed his tune to more of a strategic, long-term.
Yes.
On the down low.
Foothold on everything.
Yeah. Keep everything on the down low. We won't let them know until they know. And then when they know, it'll be too late. I think that is definitively his plan.
Yes.
But it worries me. I think the thing that worries me the most is that we end up in a world war situation with Trump at the helm. Because I don't think he's going to listen to his military leaders. I don't think
isn't that just a horrible feeling?
It's
Trump in charge.
Well, like I said before, one of the things that makes my stomach turn is that we're going to have our 250th anniversary, which is a huge anniversary for our country, and it's going to be Trump in office.
And let's face it, Putin has shown that through Ukraine, this war that he created, Russia is not as strong as what they tried to portray. That is just a fact now.
Mm-hmm.
He really isn't. He's got a bunch of nukes. I'm curious as to how many of them actually still operate. How many would probably just detonate?
Well, it makes you wonder what they're, so it's kind of like collecting cars. Okay.
I mean, that the U.S. has got working equipment. I mean, they spend the money, they keep things working, keep it oiled.
So much so.
Keep it tuned up.
So much so that when they couldn't, even to the point where, we can't change this particular computer from the 1960s, they still make sure that they have the codes that they need, the media, whether that's a fucking floppy disk, the big old fashioned fucking floppies, whatever it is, they make sure that they have it available and they're able to maintain the equipment. And then, like I said, it's not unlike a large classic car collection or a large classic motorcycle collection. If you don't take care of them, and if you don't use them, if you don't start them, they just turn into piles of metal.
Yeah, it is Jay Leno's car collection with, what's his name? Tim Allen's character, Home Improvement.
Yeah. Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Yeah, Tim Taylor as the manager.
I think you're giving it too much credit. I think you're honestly giving it too much credit. I think it's more Urkel as the caretaker. Did I do that? Fucking.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in the Pentagon for the next month, listening to them conspire ways to keep Trump from doing really dumb things. That's happening.
Oh,
that is they've admitted that they've been holding meetings on how to.
Well, they're trying to figure out how to put it in picture form.
Well, and not just picture form,
but pictures with him in it.
Button safe.
I think it's not just, and I know it sounds like I'm picking on Trump, but it's been said multiple times. The two things that he understands and absorbs is in any of his briefings.
Yes.
Are pictures, charts.
Correct.
And he really pays attention if there's a picture of him in it.
Yes.
So like you almost got to put a picture of Donald Trump standing in the pie chart in order for him to actually look at it. And it better be the pictures that he likes from the right angle, because he doesn't want his little gobbler. He doesn't like his profile. And I don't want that gobbler hanging down.
I want a picture of him included, of him on the golf course where he shit his pants.
There was argument.
Have you seen that?
Yes, I've seen that one, yeah. But there was actually, and I'm sure this is just a rumor, because he went to the reopening of the cathedral at Notre Dame. And poor Jill Biden had to sit there, like 3 seats over from this prick. And
she's on the ads.
No one wanted to sit next to him. And there was a meme going around that they were saying he shit his pants, and no one wanted to be close to him because he stunk. I wonder how much of that is true. I really do.
Have you heard Ratzenberger? Not Ratzenberger. What's his name? Dude that retired, bowed out, young guy. Republican, was on the committee.
Oh, Kinzinger?
Yes, thank you, Kinzinger. He said that he didn't like being around Trump, met Trump a few times, and Trump always smelled like ass and BO.
I don't doubt that. Honestly, I don't doubt it, but I my problem is how much of it is true versus how much of it is blown up in social media. I'm sure Joe Biden shits his pants. I mean, these guys are 80 years old, for fuck's sake. All right. Let's cut them a little slack. I don't have a problem with an 80-year-old shitting their pants every once in a while. It happens to the best of us. But with that being said, I do think it gets blown up more than it actually.
I just pictured Biden walking around singing "Hail to the Turd." Hail to the turd.
All right. Anything else in the news right now, or
Nancy Pelosi is in the hospital in Luxembourg?
Yeah, I heard about that. I don't know. Did she fell on stairs or something?
I have not read that far. It just says that she suffered an injury on a trip to Luxembourg and was waiting for the hospital for evaluation.
All right.
But she is 84, the same age, I do believe, as
Mitch McConnell
and Biden.
Look, we got to clear out the octogenarians. I'm sorry.
My last news story is very important because it is the ex-FBI informant accused of lying about the Biden family business dealings in Ukraine has pled guilty in court.
This is just a back and forth. Here's what bothers me, all right, about all this bullshit. Whether it's quote unquote lawfare and then nothing comes of it, right? Whether it's the Russian scandal, whether it's, Ukraine, all these things, like most of it has happened with Trump. And I can understand why Republicans, specifically MAGA, would think that it's lawfare. I can understand why you would feel that way. But you also have to understand it happens on both sides, right? Like if something comes up that needs to be investigated, it should be investigated regardless, right?
Yes.
So like Trump is talking about in the first 9 minutes he's in office, he's going to pardon all these. I don't know where he came up with 9 minutes, but that's the quote I heard.
Yeah.
Or I read. First 9 minutes, he's gonna pardon January 6 people, right?
Yeah.
And then it turns into as long as they weren't violent. Okay, I'm pretty sure almost all of it was violent. Secondly,
my question there is
there's
if
no.
he's going to do this. Where was he from January 7th to the 20th?
Exactly.
Just saying.
Just question.
I'm just saying.
But what bothers me about this is that we're getting to a point, even that Luigi Mastacholi guy that shot the fucking CEO, right? Immediately, almost, you had people calling for, like start a, fundraising for him, start protesting on his behalf, try to get him released.
His little, what is it? Defend, that saying that he
the deny, defend, and I forget what the last one was, but that it's apparently a saying in the insurance field.
It appeared on a highway overpass here 2 days ago.
Well, the interesting thing I think about all of that is the fact that he might end up turning into a modern day Robin Hood through this whole fucking thing, because even the CEO of that company or one of the main people in that company came out and said the healthcare system in America is broken. So they're afraid.
Absolutely.
They're afraid. They're pulling pictures of CEOs off of websites right and left because they don't understand that just because you pull that off today doesn't mean you can't go to the, what is it, turn back time or whatever it is online and you can pull that shit up anyway. Like, they don't understand that.
I haven't put too much thought into it.
No. Once it's there, it's fucking there. But beyond that, I think that this is an opportunity for the health insurance companies and insurance companies.
If I could turn back time. Sorry.
I'm going to have to get you a little cannon and some butt floss.
Oh, I've already got the butt floss on.
Well, then Amazon cannon, here we go. He could end up turning into a modern day Robin Hood, because I think what ended up happening, at least in healthcare circles, insurance circles, they went, oh, fuck, he killed him.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. There's
Ghost gun.
Yeah. Like, I think the reality of shit just kind of hit him. And I think that that's good. So if he gets, for as horrible as the action is, and I'm not condoning the action, I don't believe that violence is the way. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
However, if that one violent act changed the healthcare industry in the United States, I don't know. I kind of have to weigh the scale on that. That's tough. That's a tough.
The unfortunate greater good.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things like the moral conundrums, right?
Yes.
Trolley car.
The age old, if you could go back in time and strangle Hitler as a baby.
Yeah, but it wouldn't change. I mean, but I'm talking about more like the conundrums of, you got a runaway trolley car going down a hill filled with 5 senior citizens, and you've got a baby buggy in its path, a stroller in its path. Which one do you save? You know what I mean? Because that's kind of the way this feels, is like, I'm sorry, dude, but you're the baby in the buggy, and turns out the senior citizens aren't that senior. You
ever see the TV show Norseman?
Yeah.
It's a comedic take on the whole Viking age.
Yes. And the one guy's a little bit, he might be flighty.
The group of seniors who their task is to go up onto the mountain and throw themselves off
exactly.
And they're all just like,
I don't want to.
Or we could just go out into the woods and just us.
Yeah, well, one of the two. We can do something. All right, so the biggest news story I want to talk about, and this one I'm bringing, is the drones over Jersey. That is, to me, like
Comes with hash browns at Denny's.
moon over my hammy. It does sound like that. Now,
Yeah, it does.
I would say that this is just a prank of some sort. Normally, I would just say that this is a prank of some sort, except a lot of new information has come up recently. One being that some of these drones are as big as cars, right? So like 6 feet.
Yes.
Well, I don't know a shit ton about drones. Excuse me. But apparently, those type of drones are typically used. They're very expensive, tens of thousands of dollars. They're very, very expensive. So it's not something that your hobbyist is typically going to go and grab. These are used on farms, like large, like huge farming, to do a number of things. One, inspect the fields. Two, put pesticides down. Three, I believe they also use them to check for like cattle, like so that they can see if any cattle have gotten away from the herd. So there's a lot of like agricultural things that they use these things for.
Oh, yeah.
But if I understand it correctly, if I understood the story correctly, you have to have a license from the FAA for these bigger ones. So my question is, because all of New Jersey, including like, the governor and everyone in fucking Jersey who has any type of political office is like, what the fuck is going on? And FBI and DHS can't tell them. They're like, we don't know what's going on, but don't worry.
Literally the statement every morning at the FA. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Don't worry about it. There's no reason to worry. There's no reason to worry. That's all they keep saying. They can't tell us what it is. And it does, like when you're talking to smaller drones and you're talking to the drone clusters, okay, that's easy. We've seen that. We've seen the shows, right? So we know that you can get a drone cluster to fly certain patterns and do certain things. And my initial response to all this was, this has got to be some sort of a prank, until I found out about the bigger ones. And I'm like, okay, well, how can you as the FBI not pick up the fucking phone and call the FAA and go, in the tri-state area, how many licenses for these larger drones exist? And then just park a fucking agent down the street from that house. This isn't rocket science. It's mind-boggling to me that the FBI and the fucking Homeland Security
Apple AirTags and shoot it at one of the drones.
Well, Trump had said we should just start shooting them. People should just start shooting. Well, now you got people just shooting drones in the sky. I watched this video of this dude unload probably 30, if not more, rounds at this drone. Never fucking hit it, right? But in the meantime, what people aren't realizing is what goes up must come down. So now you've got 30 plus rounds coming down at high rates of speed. There's going to be somebody get hurt. That's just a fact. Now, I don't know if this exists for real. I don't know if this exists for real, but I saw in the thread on that on Twix, I saw that they make nets that have a 12 gauge round. It's basically a 12 gauge, but instead of having, any type of projectile, it's a net, right? Mm-hmm. So it spreads out like, I don't know, 3-4 feet or whatever. Why aren't we taking these fucking things out of the sky? And not with the public doing it. Why don't you have, this seems like a perfect opportunity for the National Guard to come in and go, boys, get your 12 gauges, get your rounds that have the nets in them, and
get your shine box.
Yeah, get your shine box. Grab your girl, grab your kids. So, I don't understand what the fuck the plan is here, other than we don't know. I've heard everything as crazy as it's the Biden administration trying to stay in power. Okay.
How does that enable them to stay in?
You didn't let me finish. That came from an account that had an American flag and MAGA. They don't understand. You can't get mad at them like sometimes there are some that are educated enough, and you can tell by the posts that they know what they're talking about, but they're just misguided. And then there are people that you can tell that barely are able to tie their shoes because they're that fucking stupid. That was
much like the MAGA moron that really wanted it investigated and to know why Obama was not in the Oval Office.
Exactly.
September 11th.
Exactly. So that's one example. Another example, I mean, like the list goes on and on, but all of the MAGAs that didn't realize that the Affordable Health Care Act that they had, the Affordable Care Act that they had was Obamacare.
The Affordable Hair Care Act?
Yeah, the Hair Care Act. I'd be down for that. I could use more affordable.
You got a nice head of hair there, buddy.
Yeah, I do. I'm fortunate. Very fortunate.
Not that I don't or anything.
No, you got probably a thicker head of hair than I do, but considering my age and considering the stress that I've lived through just with mom and dad, the fact that I'm not a cue ball is something. But they don't understand that.
Walk around and just be like, hey, this is my brother cue ball. Hey, cue ball, what's in the corner pocket?
Yeah, I'll help you with that. The level of, how do I put this? The inability for critical thinking on some of those posts was mind-boggling. Yeah, there's no mental fortitude. There's no critical thinking. Now, all it takes is a quick Google search to find out that this shit isn't just happening in New Jersey. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in Italy. I'm sure it's happening in a few other places, but those were the two that sparked my interest the most. It is just like in New Jersey. It is happening around military bases and outside of military bases. So, yeah. So my question is, because I don't think that this is UAP. Like, I don't think that this is alien. I think that this is definitively man-made. All right. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. I'd prefer to be wrong, honestly. But I've heard everything from there's an Iranian mothership that's releasing these things, right? Like, how ridiculous are we going to get?
We all know if it was Iranian, it would be a father ship. Come on. Let's be honest.
Because they can't release drones out of a burqa.
If it was a mothership, it would have a... Come on.
That's fucking awesome. Oh, shit. Anyway, I guess my point is what do you think they are? I guess that's my question. What is this? What's the point of this? What's going on here?
I don't mean to laugh. I just heard a car's panic alarm go off. So I was like, oh, did I just hit my button? So I hit my button and my car went off. So I was like, nope, not mine.
Now people are thinking, who's talking to who?
Cars are not talking to each other.
Everyone thinks that they're all getting broken into right now is what's going on. But what do you think? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? And why? Because it doesn't make sense that it's a prank.
No.
It's too big in its scale.
It's definitely not a prank. No one's going to risk this on a prank.
Well, I say that for two reasons. I say I don't think it's a prank for a couple of reasons. The number one reason is if you were trying to create hysteria or like, alien invasion and it's a prank, you're going to do that in the summertime, not in the wintertime. Okay. You're going to, and if for no other reason, in my opinion, because you have people outside later. Like right now, most people, when these are coming out, I mean, had it not been for the news story and for it spreading like wildfire in this New Jersey area, I don't think people would be going out at night with their cameras and their phones looking for these things. So I would think if it was a prank, it would have been done in warmer weather, not necessarily summer, but definitely warmer weather. Secondly, I don't know how well your off the counter or over the counter type, big box store drones, I don't know how well they do if it's like snowing.
That one just say Hobby Lobby?
Yeah. Actually, I saw a meme where it showed like the message on the drone. It said, "We've been trying to reach you. about your car warranty having expired. But like, all right, so you can rule out that this is like a Biden plan because it's happening in the UK and in Italy. You can rule out it's a prank because it's happening in UK and Italy. You can rule out a number of things because of the fact that it's also happening in other places in the world. So what the fuck is it? Why the fuck is it? Who the fuck is it? Any thoughts?
It's just going to be some high school students class project.
Everything was 3D printed.
Yes.
Just like that
model glue.
Yeah. They were just trying to get high at first and they thought, hey, I got an idea. I don't know though. I mean, like seriously, like where is this coming from? Do you think that this is another country like Iran? Do you think it's like China? Do you think it's, for fuck's sake, Belarus, whatever, Saudi Arabia? I mean, who the fuck is doing this and why? If you're using drones in that way, it would seem like it's for reconnaissance.
There's an aspect of me that feels like it could literally be kids having fun.
It doesn't account for the big ones, though.
No, it does not. That is the spoiler in my dessert, is that it doesn't account for the larger ones. The larger ones are the question. Smaller ones, you could, people having fun. What are they going to do? Arrest them?
Look, I would be willing.
Larger ones are the question.
Well, even when you're talking about the swarms, right? The larger swarms, where and we'll call that anywhere from 10 drones flying in some sort of a pattern to 100, right? Even with the cost of entry, we know that there are companies out there that do these types of shows where it's like, this big display, they've got 1,500 drones that all are flying in unison. They hit the lights the right way. It draws a picture in the sky. It's a beautiful thing. It's not that.
I have a solution for everything, to be honest with you.
What's that?
The way you discover who or what is behind this. You ask China to borrow Herbe. Send them out there when there's a drone swarm. Yeah.
You got to remind people who Herbe is.
You guys are working overtime? You wanna come back to my home?
Remind the audience who Herbe is.
Herbe is the little tiny robot that convinced a bunch of robots to come back to his place
to have a party. They had a little bot party. So I guess we're going to leave this with more questions this time than we have answers. And that's okay.
That is every show.
Yeah, it is pretty
questions
much
such as, why do I keep tuning in?
Yeah.
Why don't I message these nut jobs?
And with that, that's another Elsie's Little Pickles.